Well, hello, everybody. Hello. Yes, it's your friend Manoli. I know that it's been a long time. I did not forget about you, but I am back. Manoli is back with another music episode, the first of the year. It only took me, almost halfway through the year to do a music. But hey, listen, as my father so frequently says, excuses are like noses and everybody has one and nobody's interested in any of them, which is what he says a lot. I do have my excuse for you people is that I am very busy recently. I moved. I got my own place, my own little abode, the Manoli Manor, if you will, little condo that I moved into. It's been very nice, but that's taken up a lot of my time getting this place set up. I'm still busy in my day to day. I have a full time job. I run a business. I sing sometimes. And then I also went back to school. Manoli is back in school getting his little master's degree, his MBA. So yeah, I have been very busy, but there is really no excuse. It doesn't mean I can't take a half hour here or there, to talk to you people. But I have been busy. Okay, there is. It's been quite the time, but I figured it was time for me to make my grand return into the podcasting world um, and speak to you people. And the funny thing is that in February, I went to the College of Charleston Opera's. They had a performance in the spring, and one of the performers, his name is Colin. Shout out to Colin; he's a good fella. He asked me after the show. I said, hello, you did a good job. He's like, Manoli, when's your next music? And I'm like, that's a really good question. I'm going to do one just for you. And then about a month went by, and I saw him again. He's like, you still have a post? I'm like, yeah, I know. I've been a little busy, and then it's been about another month. So it's been taking me 2 months. But Colin, I do live up to my word. I just do it at a very glacial, slow pace. I've had several people ask me, it's crazy. It's amazing that anybody at all listens to this in the first place, but let alone that somebody is eagerly awaiting the next installment. So it's really that was a good that really helped my confidence over here. So I am back to my adoring public. I hope everybody's doing okay. I Yeah, it's been a time. It's been a time. What can I say? It's been great. The moving's great. I love this new place. I've really been enjoying living here, having my own little own little place to go home to. It's my own baby. It's it. This is my place. It's mine. This is the Manoli Manor, and that is what it is, and I enjoy it very much. And it's been a wonderful thing. So yeah, little update for you. All the fun stuff going on in the world of Manoli. Hope everybody had a nice Easter. We actually this is one of the rare occasions where the Greeks or the Orthodox and the Western Easter are actually lined up. So we all celebrated together. Isn't that nice? So happy Easter, Christos Anesti, all of that. I hope it was very good. I'm happy because that last week I was really hangry. I had been fasting. I wasn't eating any meat, and I wasn't having any booze. So I was a little tired of not eating some meat by the end of it. But yesterday I had a feast. I had all kinds of lamb and beef, and I had wine and beer, and it was quite the time. I had a feast, man. We had it at the house. We had everybody over. It was great. All my family. It was a good time. Good time. So wonderful, wonderful. So there you go. Um, yeah. But anyway, what's going on with you people? What's going on? What's new in your world? I say this as if you can actually speak back to me, which you can't. Before I get started with the episode proper, I do unfortunately have some sad news. One of our listeners, my friend Tamala, and her friends called her Boo Boo, she unfortunately left us earlier this year. And she loved the musings. She loved to hear me sing. We talked all the time. She was, I'm a fan of some of the reality competition shows, which is nerdy. Survivor, Big Brother, whatever. I like those shows. My friend Bryce, who was on the show a long time ago, we got to bring him back. He introduced me to that kind of world. So I like those shows. I find them entertaining and fascinating. And so I would talk about it online with people who also watch the show, and that's how I met Boo Boo. And we were such fans of the show that we actually there's a whole little subsection of that kind of community that will run their own versions of Survivor or Big Brother that you would play in online. Obviously, not close at all to the real thing, but the format's the same. You vote people out, or whatever, on messaging apps or whatever, and which is a very nerdy hobby. I don't know if I've ever talked about it on this podcast because it's so nerd. It's probably the nerdiest thing that I do, and I also sing opera, so that's really saying something. But a lot of my listeners actually are from that world, and I met some of you. Unfortunately, I never got to meet Boo Boo. She lived on the West Coast, and she was, she was busy. She had a family of her own, but she was a very nice lady. Um, Obviously, people who were in that community loved her as well, and she loved the show, and so I wanted to give her a shout out on this episode and say rest in peace and may her memory be eternal. Um, Also, I had promised somebody that I would talk about the Maria Callas movie on my next episode, which I think that movie came out in November, and I didn't want to watch it at all, so I think I waited till like January to watch it. And I was so I was gonna watch the first half that night and then watch the second half the next day, but I was so irritated by it that I was like, I don't even want to have to do this tomorrow. So I just powered through the rest of the movie. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna go to bed before I write a review about it. And I was like, you know what? This is so disgusting to me. This movie was so bad that I'm just gonna vomit this out tonight. And so I basically did that, and I put it on my Facebook, and I could read it, but it would take me probably the rest of the episode to get through it. Um, Very long-winded review. I think I gave the movie a 3 out of 10, which in hindsight might have been a little generous, but basically my review could have been screw this movie. It could have been 3 words. And I say screw because this is a family show, and I have to keep it, relatively clean in here. But yeah, the movie sucked. Uh, Very few redeeming qualities. The script was just horrible. I mean, that was the worst part about it. The script, I mean, it would have been better suited for usage of as toilet paper. I mean, that's how bad this thing was. It was just laughable, egregious, and really vomitous. So I don't think I'm going to waste any more breath about it. But if you want my impressions on the Maria Callas movie, there it is. Uh, I think that really people always want to focus on her personal life, which was sad. They don't ever want to focus on her achievements as an artist or, you know, all the amazing things that she did as when she was singing and the crazy vocal, just stunts that she pulled off. They never ever want to focus on that. All they want to focus about is how, oh, she was sad. Oh, she was, her heart got broken, blah blah blah. It's like I don't think she would want us to really. It's like it's none of our business, man. That's how I feel about it. It's like I like her because she was a badass in the opera world. She sang better than anybody else on record. She was very eloquently spoken in her interviews, and when she taught she taught master classes at Juilliard, and she reveals a lot of her charm and her wit and her personality. And it's just like people all they want to focus on is like, oh, she was sad. She was like this fallen angel. It's like, why are we like? It just doesn't make any sense to me. Yeah, it's sad. Her mother was evil, basically, and she had a sad personal life from the beginning. I mean, she was not set up for success in a personal life. So really, her success came from her career, which is the real tragedy. But of course, the movie doesn't really understand that. But if you want to read my full review, I will happily send it to you. But I think it's best that I just put this to bed and move along because, oh boy, don't get me started. Yeah. Anyway, so what am I going to talk about? I've preambled here for about a good 10 minutes. I had an encounter the other day, and normally I wouldn't really talk about something like this because it's kind of don't want to say petty, but it's just kind of trivial. And I try not to like get real bogged down with this stuff. But since it happened, it's kind of a theme in my life, and it's happened a few times. And I think at this point, that's happened three, 4, 5 times that I can kind of laugh about it and kind of laugh about it on the show. So I was driving down in Charleston, and I was at a stoplight, and I'm not really paying attention. I'm just kind of lollygagging, whatever, listening to, I don't know, the Rolling Stones or Maria Callas or I don't know, somebody like that. I was listening to in my car, and because I'm actually 80 years old, and I was sitting there, and I noticed on the right somebody is walking on the sidewalk in my direction, like we were going to pass each other. And I'm looking and I'm looking, and this person was familiar to me, and I looked close to her, and it was somebody I went to high school with, and let's call her. This is not her name because I'm going to change the name to protect the not so innocent. Her name was let's say her name was Stacy, and I hadn't thought of Stacy in about 10 years. I haven't been in high school in quite some time. Uh, she was not a major character in my high school career. She was maybe if my life was a sitcom, which I often think it is and probably should be, she might have been in 2 episodes and had a couple lines. She was like the Chuck Cunningham of my high school career. If you get that reference to the Happy Days character that disappeared, went up the stairs and never came back. Or for my Survivor people, she was the Purple Kelly. Or for my opera people, she was the Meg Page of my high school career. Not a major character in any respect. But somebody I would see, I would recognize them. I spoke to this person before, but whatever. Anyway, Stacy is walking my way, and I'm like, oh, there's somebody I know. I'll be friendly. I'll say hello. I roll down my window and I say, Stacy. And as she's walking, she gets this disgusted, annoyed, irritated look on her face, like she just smelled, I don't know, a toxic waste disposal site. And she doesn't stop walking. She just keeps walking, and she gets this gross look on her face, and she says, hi. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe she can't really see me. I'm in my car. I haven't seen her in a while. Maybe she doesn't know who I am. And so I say, it's Manoli. And she said, yeah, I recognize you. And just kept walking. I was like, I don't know what the hell that was about because I must have really made a bad impression because I swear I haven't thought about this person in 10 years. But wow. I have no idea what that was about. I was like, what the hell was that? It was just, it's funny in a way. I mean, I was so flabbergasted that it was actually kind of hilarious. And I was reminded of an instance back in college, because I guess this all happened in my school days. So back in college, I was leaving opera rehearsal one night. I think this was during Carousel, which was right before COVID happened. And I was walking out. I was with my friend Catherine. That was her actual name. I'll keep her name the same. And there was another girl walking adjacent to us. Let's call her. Let's change her name. What do we want to call her? Let's call her Patty. Patty. Her name was Patty. It wasn't her name. Her name was Patty. And again, not somebody I was super close with, but I try to be cordial and nice and be friendly to people because it's actually a struggle for me, as you might could tell by the tone of this podcast. But I try to put my best foot forward, and so we were walking out of rehearsal one night, and I said, "Oh, bye, Patty. Have a good night." And she looks at me and she goes, "I'm going to the garage." And I'm like, what the hell does that have to do with anything? I'm not going to the garage. I didn't say any of this, but I'm like, in my mind, I'm just like, what is going on? Like, I'm not, like, what does that have to do with anything? I'm not going to the garage. Why did she say that to me? All I was trying to say was, adios, have a good night. But, that's what you get for being friendly, I suppose. Me and my friend Catherine still laugh about this to this day. She was there. She's a witness. I have a witness for this one. And then I was reminded of an instance not long after that happened. I guess maybe the next year I was back at school, after we came back after the COVID stuff happened. And we were at the subway at the Five Points. The Five Points is like the bar district where I went to college, and I was there with my buddy Whit and my buddy Parker, and they were hungry. They wanted to get some Subway before we drank ourselves into a stupor. We wanted to get they wanted to get some food before. I guess I ate too. I don't remember, but anyway, but there's a Subway right at the Five Points, which is a great idea when you can have a bunch of drunk college kids order somebody to make them a sandwich. Uh, but anyway, this was before we had been drinking, so we were in the preliminary phase. And I'm standing there and I try to go to the bathroom. And for some reason, the bathroom is locked, which for some odd reason that was acceptable in those times. You could go in the restaurant, you could go to the bar, you could drink or eat or do whatever you want as long as you're spending money. But if you want to go to the head, that wasn't allowed in the COVID age. That was not a thing. Could not go to the bathroom. I don't even know how that's legal for a place to serve food to not let you use their bathroom. But I digress. Yeah, really, the logic there was really, really something. Um, but so I tried to go to their bathroom and it was locked. So I said, okay, whatever. Wasn't a big deal to me. And then I'm sitting there waiting, I guess, for the sandwiches. And this group of two, three girls walk in and they walk up to the bathroom and they pull on the door and they're just waiting. So I said, hey, the bathroom, they're not going to open it. It's closed. And they look at me and they go, whatever, you don't know what you're talking about. And they're like, and they just, I'm like, okay. And they just standing there for the next 5, 10 minutes waiting for somebody to come out of the bathroom when it's not going to happen. And this time I said, you know what? As I'm walking out, I said, hey, enjoy waiting for that bathroom. And they look at me, they go, ah, yeah. And they like flip me off. It was the craziest thing in my life. That like, you know what? That's what I get for trying to be affable. You see people, do you understand why I am the way that I am? Why I feel this way? Because every time I try to be affable, it just I get attacked. So you know what? I think from now on, I'm not gonna say a word. I'm just gonna mind my own business, walk down the street. If you see me, go to the other side because I'm not talking to anybody anymore that I know because it never ends well. I could say a friendly hello. I could say how you doing. I could say, oh, how's life? How's your family? And they would look at me and they'd say, why are you talking to me? So you know what? No more, no more. I think I'm just going to mind my own business for the rest of my life, which is ironic if you know me at all, because I don't think that's even remotely possible. But that's my goal. It's kind of like that phrase, "the road to hell is paved with good intentions." Which kind of makes sense, but kind of doesn't because it's like, well, am I only supposed to have bad intentions from now on? But I think I'm going to have no intentions, no good, no bad. Just I'm not going to have any intentions. If you want to talk to me, uh, you're going to have to schedule in advance. I guess that's all I'm going to say. So yeah, affable Manoli is done. I've been scolded too many times for trying to just be decent, and I guess my efforts were not appreciated, but that it is what it is. I recognized you. I'm like, oh, okay. Infamous is what I am. But what else are we going to talk about? I had an interesting encounter the other day as well. I was at a restaurant. I was sitting at the bar by myself, as I do, having some dinner. This was a while ago. And I'm sitting there, I'm talking to the fella next to me because strangers like to talk to me. I don't like talking to strangers. It's people I know that I don't really like to talk to. But talking to strangers is fine so long as they're nice. But he was talking my ear off. And as he's talking to me, I'm looking to my right. And the other guy on my other side is just sitting there minding his own business. And he has his little phone out. It's propped up, and he's like watching the Andy Griffith show, and I'm like, "What the heck? What? Like, that's what you're watching at the bar? Like, what are you like? How can you even hear it and follow along with the Andy Griffith show? It's like there's a fly, and it's like I don't even know how to begin to dissect this. It's like I'm going to pull up to the bar and just watch Gilligan's Island and Andy Griffith and I Love Lucy and the Honeymooners, and that's going to be my thing. I kind of admire this man because I would strive to be at those levels of just doesn't care. Just I'm going to come here to this restaurant. I'm not going to talk to anybody. I'm going to eat my food, and while I'm doing it, I'm going to watch Andy Griffith on my phone. It was one of the strangest, most bizarre things I've ever seen in my life. But at least nobody was. I don't know. He was just doing his own thing. I think we could all learn a lesson from that. You know what I'm saying? Just just do with it. Just do it. As long as you're not being obnoxious, what's going to stop you? What's going to stop me from going somewhere, sit down at the bar? I don't want to talk to anybody because it doesn't go well so much. And I'm just going to sit there and I'm going to watch, I don't know, what do I like? The Sopranos? I want to watch The Sopranos. Or what else do I like? Cobra Kai, I like. I'm going to watch that. That show had a good ending, by the way. That's one of the only times in recent memory that a show actually had a decent ending. It was amazing. After watching Game of Thrones just completely collapse before the finish line, and all these cynical endings, it was kind of nice to have an ending to a show that was actually happy. It took itself seriously, like its characters deserved the ending that they got. And I actually liked the way it ended. I thought the show ended good. I like the show. I'm actually watching it now because I like the ending so much. I'm like, now I want to watch the whole thing again. See, that's how you do a show, people. You give their ending a real ending. You don't give them this Game of Thrones or this Star Wars sequel trilogy treatment where it's like completely just backtracks and craps all over what came before. This is how you write an ending. So I admire what they did. I thought it was good. It's one of the only times that I actually felt something at the end of a show or a movie as of late because everything now is just it doesn't take itself. It's the weirdest thing. It's like the movie doesn't believe in itself, or the show does not believe in itself. It has to like laugh at itself and make jokes at itself. I think it's like a Marvel thing. I think that kind of came to fruition with that, but it's a bad symptom. In the same vein, I was watching some of the movies from my youth. I watched the first three Pirates of the Caribbean. I watched the Sam Raimi Spider Man movies. And it's like, you know what? They don't make movies like this anymore. These movies had their own style. Yes, there were franchises, but the people actually cared about them. It wasn't just another installment in the 30 Marvel movies that we have, which I think is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. And I hate the fact that Star Wars is going down the same path with all these crappy Disney Plus shows. Uh, I don't get the Marvel thing. I don't understand how anybody could keep up with 25 different movies, a dozen different TV shows just to understand these. Like how do you even have the time to do that? I don't understand it. I don't like it. I don't like what it's done to the industry. Um, but going back to like Pirates and the Raimi movies, and I was also watching the first three Karate Kids, which is not really from my time, but it was. I watched the first one a lot as a kid, and it's like what? I don't know. It's like the people you could tell that the people actually cared about these movies. Maybe I don't know about Karate Kid Part Three, but the other ones they definitely cared about. Uh, and people crapped on like At World's End. They said, "Oh, it's too long. It's too stupid." I'm like, I can't think of one scene I would cut from this movie. I enjoyed it. I thought it was. I thought that the filmmaker Gore Verbinski. I thought he cared about the product. I thought the actors cared about it. Same with the Raimi stuff. It's stylized. It's Sam Raimi, not the singer, the filmmaker, but it had a character and it had a presence, and they don't make movies like that anymore. And now everything is just they call it slop, and I think they're right. It's just slop. It reminds me of a line I had in one of the operas I did at college. I came out on stage and I had the first words of the show, and I said, "Crap, nothing but crap." And I think that's kind of indicative of the state of things nowadays. But Cobra Kai, not bad. Good job, guys. Way to do it. I had Craig on here from Cobra Kai. Craig Bourdain, I think is how he says his last name. I don't know what my point is with any of that, but I wish we had movies like that now. We don't have them. I was spoiled as a kid. And listen, as a kid growing up, think about this. I had Pirates. I had the Spider-Man movies. Lord of the Rings was coming out around that time. The Star Wars prequels were coming out around that time. This was exciting times. The first few Harry Potters, and before they got kind of crappy, it was nice. It was a fun time to grow up. I still remember seeing Revenge of the Sith in theaters. I remember seeing at World's End in theaters, how exciting it was. Dead Man's just all those movies, Spider Man. Um, I was young. I mean, I was 5 years old when Revenge of the Sith came out. It's back in theaters, by the way. So I'm definitely going to take Leo to see that. Leo, my brother. Um, Speaking of Leo, and then as I segue along, Leo, when I moved, he was kind of hesitant at first. He's like, "What? You leaving? You're going to leave the house?" Because I've been living, you know, with my folks in Leo ever since I came back from college, and I'm like, "Yes, I'm going to be moving out, but listen, I'm not moving far away. I'm only like 10 minutes away. I'm going to be there all the time, to hang out with you guys and see you guys." And Leo, now that I'm moving out, it means that you get my room. And he's like, "Oh, okay." He was kind of okay with it after that point. I guess that was that kind of sweetened the deal a little bit. And I tell you what, not one day I was gone, the kid moved into my room, or not my room anymore, my old room, and he already redecorated. He got a fish tank. He did all kinds of stuff in there. Um, yes, he got a fish tank, and he had three fish. One of them, I think, lasted about 2 days. He named it Sandy, and they discovered that Sandy had leapt out of the tank. I guess Sandy couldn't take it anymore, and Sandy was outside of the tank. Although we think it might have been some foul play with another fish in the tank. We think maybe the fish might have kicked Sandy out of the tank, but the evidence is inconclusive. That fish is also dead, so I guess the karma came. And the third fish has since died too, so really doing good over here. The third fish actually lasted a couple weeks, but Sandy was the first one, and Leo said, "Oh, we have to have a funeral for Sandy." And my mother relayed this story to me, and she said that she heard Leo standing in the bathroom where Sandy, they put Sandy in the toilet, and he said the words, "Peace out, Sandy. I hope you had a nice life." And then he flushed it. So nice send off for old Sandy. Oh, that kid's something else. He's a funny kid. But yeah, that's what's been going on nowadays. Just lots of stories, lots of stuff going on. It's something interesting. I was reading in Madrid. I was reading in Madrid that they announced a new opera season, and it was surprising. There's like no Puccini, there's no Mozart, there's none of that. So it's odd for an opera season to have all that other stuff. But not only that, there's like stuff that you don't see all the time. Two Vivaldi operas, which is like unheard of. His operas are just not done that much, and to have two of them in one season is really something. And I saw it on Reddit, which I try not to go on Reddit anymore because it's a cesspool. But I was on there for some reason, which I naturally regretted. Um, and they were talking about on the opera subreddit, and somebody said, "Oh, I like the season, but why so much Vivaldi?" I'm like, "Why so much Vivaldi? Why so much you? What are you talking about? Why so much Vivaldi? The man was a genius. Isn't that good enough for you? Why so much Vivaldi? Why so much you speaking? What? Because they didn't do La Boheme and Butterfly and Figaro for the 8,000th time? I mean, how many times do you have to hear these operas? It's ridiculous. Um, you're gonna say why so much Vivaldi? Maybe you should think about it for a while. The man was a freaking genius. That's why so much Vivaldi, and that's it. I didn't say any of this naturally because I try not to interact with redditors anymore. But I thought it in my head angrily. I like Vivaldi. I like to sing some Vivaldi. I sing that one aria, "Sei col guerriero" from Tito Manlio, um, which is a lot of fun to sing. Uh, so I like Vivaldi. I'm glad that they're doing two Vivaldi operas. I wish I could be there to see it, but I won't be there. So have a good season, Opera Madrid. Way to go for doing something different, thinking outside the box, not doing, I don't know, the same operas over and over. These people, they do the same thing over and over and over. It's like, expand your horizons, but I digress. Moving along. Uh, what else? What am I going to end on here? What am I going to end on? I'm looking at these topics and they're really something. They're really something. I don't even know how to begin to decipher some of these. So I guess I'll end there. So yeah. Um, what have we learned today? We've learned that Manoli has a lot going on in his little life here. Um, we learned that Leo was more concerned about getting my room than he was about me leaving, which is interesting as well. Now I'm sure he cared. We learned that I will no longer be saying hello to people on the street. I'll be crossing to the other side. So if you see me, don't even try it. So I guess that's all I have for now. So that's a half hour. There's no need to drag this out to fill time. That way I can save some material for the next episode, which hopefully will come sooner than I don't know, almost 5 months into the year. But we'll see about that. So I'm going to leave it at that. I hope everybody had a great Easter. Like I said, Christos Anesti, um, and all of that. All that. So rest in peace, Boo Boo. As I said earlier, great, great friend of the podcast, great friend of mine. And for all my fans out there, I'm going to say I will try to do this sooner rather than later, my next episode. So, with all that being said, I think I've said enough. Have a good night.